Welcome to Human Blueprint School of Magic and Metaphysics. This is episode 1 of our series, The Deeming, given to us by our Minister of Metaphysics, C.E.M. We are about to embark on a journey, but not a journey to become something new. This is a journey of uncovering and of remembering. The title of our exploration tonight is The Deeming Perfection Before Interference. It is a concept that might sound a little strange at first, but it holds a profound truth about the nature of who we are. Before the world told you who to be, before you started to believe there were parts of you that needed fixing or improving, there was a state of simple, unblemished perfection. It wasn't a perfection born of effort or achievement, but a natural state of being, whole and complete. Our purpose here is to begin the process of uncovering our original state. We will peel back the layers of conditioning, of belief, of identity that have been laid upon us over the years. We're not adding anything to you. We are simply finding our way back to the truth that was there from the very beginning. This is a story about you, the original you, the one that exists beneath all the noise. It is a story of returning to a self that has never, for a single moment, been anything less than perfect. And so, our story begins with the first section, which we call Original State. This isn't just a chapter title, it's a destination. It's the place we are all, in our own ways, trying to return to. We've subtitled this section A Journey Back to Wholeness because that is precisely what it is. Think of it as a homecoming. For too long, we have been led to believe that life is a journey of construction, of building ourselves up from broken pieces, of constantly striving to fix our flaws. But what if that entire premise is flawed? What if the real journey is not one of building, but of remembering? What if wholeness isn't something you achieve, but something you simply return to? This journey back to wholeness is about retracing our steps. It's about finding the path back to the blueprint of our being, the original design that was flawless from the start. It requires us to set down our tools of self-improvement and instead pick up a map that leads us inward to the core of our existence, a place that has remained untouched and whole all along. This is the quest we are beginning now, a gentle, profound journey back to you. Let's begin in a place we call the opening void. And though void might sound empty, think of it instead as a space of pure potential. So let me say, welcome. Welcome home to the Blueprint family. You are part of a lineage of souls who are remembering the truth of their design. Here, in this space, we can begin to recall what it was like before distortion. Imagine, just for a moment, an existence without the need for becoming anything. An existence without the constant, nagging project of fixing yourself. This is not a state of apathy or resignation, but a state of profound peace. It is the peace that comes from knowing you are already complete. This was your starting point. It was a state of purity. A state that existed prior to the construction of identity, before the mind learned to label everything, including itself. And crucially, it was a state that existed prior to fear. Fear arises when we believe we have something to lose, or that we are not enough to meet a challenge. But in this original state of purity, where you are already whole and complete, what is there to fear? There is no deficit to protect, no fragile identity to defend. There is only being. This is the memory we are here to reactivate. To truly grasp this, we must deepen our understanding of the original state. It rests on a core truth, a foundational principle that I want you to feel in your bones. Nothing is inherently wrong with you. Let that sink in. Nothing is, or ever has been, fundamentally wrong with you. Any feeling of being flawed, broken, or incomplete is the result of a great misunderstanding. The source of this misunderstanding, the source of all our perceived distortion, is interference, not damage. This is a critical distinction. Imagine a pristine radio signal. The signal itself is perfect, coherent, and clear. Now, imagine a storm introduces static. The static is interference. It doesn't mean the radio signal itself is broken or damaged, it's just being temporarily obscured. The signal is still there, in its entirety, beneath the noise. The same is true for you. Your core, your essence is that perfect signal. Life's experiences, society's expectations, and your own beliefs are the static. This leads to the most liberating realization of all, which is your own fundamental completeness. Any distortion you experience does not, and cannot, originate from a place of brokenness within you. You are not a shattered thing that needs to be pieced back together. You are a whole and perfect signal that is simply waiting for the interference to be cleared so you can be heard once more. You were never broken. This is not a hopeful affirmation, it is a statement of fact from the perspective of your original blueprint. Your innate, unchangeable qualities are those of being whole, complete, stable, and coherent. Like a perfectly formed crystal, your essence has a natural structure that is balanced and sound. This is your default setting. Wholeness is not something you have to find, it is what you are. Completion is not a goal to be reached, it is your very nature. Stability is not a state to be achieved through effort, it is the bedrock of your being. And coherence is not a harmony you must create, it is the natural resonance of your soul. Your initial state, the one that exists at your absolute core, is pristine and undisturbed. No matter how much dust and debris has gathered on the surface, no matter the intensity of the storms that have raged, that innermost core remains untouched. It's like the deep ocean, which remains calm and silent regardless of the turbulent waves on the surface. Now, with this understanding, I want to pose a reflective prompt for you to consider. What have you believed was wrong with you? Gently hold that question and just notice the stories and labels that arise, knowing that they are simply stories, not the truth of your pristine initial state. This brings us to a beautiful and powerful concept, the zero state. In our culture, the word zero often has a negative connotation. It implies emptiness, lack, a void. We strive to be a 10, not a 0, but we are going to reclaim this word and understand it in its true, original context. Here, zero means completion. It's the point of perfect balance, the moment a circle is completed, containing everything without needing anything more. The zero state is a state of completion without pressure. It's the feeling of being utterly whole, not because you've finally achieved all your goals, but because you've let go of the need to strive for them. It is the end of the chase. It is the peace that descends when you stop running, turn around, and realize you were already at the finish line. This isn't a state you have to build or work toward. It's a state you return to. It's the natural equilibrium of a system that is no longer being pushed or pulled. It is the silence between notes that gives music its beauty. It is the stillness of a pond that perfectly reflects the sky. This is zero state. Not a lack, but a fullness. Not emptiness, but a gentle, unpressured, and total completion. Let's go deeper now and explore what it means to truly embrace your zero state. First, let's solidify the definition. Zero is completion, not emptiness. It is the number from which all other numbers are born. It is the canvas upon which the painting appears. It is the state of pure potential, already whole and containing everything. This is not just a philosophical idea, it is your origin point. You began in this unpressured state. As a baby, before the world taught you to want, to strive, to become, you existed in this state. You were simply present, a complete being without a single goal or ambition. The key characteristics of this state are your birthright. It is unpressured, there is no internal or external force demanding that you be more or less than what you are. It is complete, nothing is missing, nothing needs to be added. It is non-reactive. You are the calm center of the storm, observing the world without being pulled into its drama. And it is undivided, there is no inner conflict, no part of you at war with another. You are one, unified being. Now, I have a reflective prompt for you. This is not about thinking, but about feeling. Recall a moment of calm without effort. A moment where you were not seeking anything, not trying to fix yourself or your surroundings. Maybe it was watching a sunset, or listening to the rain, or simply sitting in silence. Find that memory, and in your own mind, describe it. What did that feel like? That feeling is your doorway back to the zero state. Now we get even deeper within the nature of the sphere in the second half of tonight's presentation. Have you ever wondered? Though I am doing all the work, the meditations, the affirmations, all the self-help and even somatic methods, I have gone to the retreats, read all the books, none of it is working. Well, here is a powerful and elegant metaphor for this truth. The sphere identity. What does it mean to have an identity that is of the sphere, in a world that is obsessed with the pressure of angles? So, what does a world of angles look like? Well, it looks like climbing ladders with hierarchies, with moving forward and up. The image of a sphere is almost revolutionary. A sphere has no top or bottom, no front or back. It is a symbol of perfect equality and completeness. This is the nature of the true self and of this universe. Your true self, your original identity, is not a pyramid you must climb. It is not a line you must extend. It is a sphere, already perfect in its form. This is a radical departure from the way we are taught to think about ourselves. We are told to find our edge, to sharpen our skills, to rise above others, to fit in. The sphere, however, has no edges to sharpen. It has no need to rise above anything because it is already whole and occupies its own space perfectly. It doesn't compete, it simply is. Embracing the idea of a spherical identity is the beginning of a profound internal peace, a shift from a life of striving to a life of being. It's about understanding that your value isn't measured by your position in a hierarchy, but by the simple, profound fact of your existence. Let's unpack this concept, given to us by our Minister of Metaphysics, C.E.M. Your original identity is spherical. What is the sphere's defining features? Firstly, it has no edges. An edge is a boundary, a point of contact and potential friction with the outside world. An edge defines where you end and the world begins, creating a sense of separation and the need for defense. A sphere has no such points. It is continuous and smooth. Secondly, a spherical identity has no hierarchy. There is no higher self to strive for and no lower self to be ashamed of. All aspects are equidistant from the center, equally part of the whole. You don't need to climb a ladder within yourself, you just need to recognize the perfection of the sphere as it is. It also has no direction. It is not oriented towards a future goal or running from a past mistake. It is perfectly present, containing all directions and therefore needing none. From this, it follows that it has no pressure. Pressure is created by force exerted on a surface. With no edges and no direction, the sphere is a model of a zero-pressure system. It is a state of equilibrium. Now, consider its inner nature. A sphere does not defend itself, it has no walls to protect. It does not strive, it is already complete. It does not perform its existence is its value, it simply is. With that in mind, I invite you to reflect on this question. Where in your life do you feel pressure? Pressure to improve, to perform, to prove yourself, or to become something other than what you are right now? Notice these places. These are the areas where you have forgotten your spherical nature and have adopted the jagged edges and sharp angles the world has offered you. Up to this point, we have painted a picture of a pristine, spherical, and complete original state. It is a beautiful and resonant truth. But it also raises a very important question. If this is our true nature, what happened? If we started out so perfect, why do we so often feel fractured, pressured, and incomplete? This brings us to the great turning point in our story. It brings us to the introduction of interference. This is the critical moment of the shift from original state. Notice, we are not calling it the fall or the breaking. We are calling it interference. As we discussed before, interference does not damage the original signal, it only obscures it. This shift was not a moment where you broke, but a moment where you began to believe you were broken. It was the introduction of an external signal, a foreign frequency that began to create static in your own perfect broadcast. This interference came in many forms: the expectations of your family, the rules of your culture, the pain of your experiences, the fears you inherited. These were not you, but they began to feel like you. This is the story of how the clean, simple sphere began to be covered in layers of dust and debris. This is the story of how the pressure began, and understanding this shift is the first step in reversing it. Let's begin our story by imagining a system in its purest form. Picture a perfectly still, clear body of water, a system at rest, whole and complete. Now, imagine something happens. An external influence, a pebble, a stone, something from the outside, enters this calm system. The moment it breaks the surface, everything changes. This is how interference distorts our own inner worlds. It doesn't come from within, it is an intrusion. And with it, this external force introduces a host of new and unsettling elements. Suddenly, there is a charge, an electrical current of energy that wasn't there before. There's a new sense of urgency as ripples begin to race across the once still surface. A polarity is created, the high crests and low troughs of the waves, a sudden swing between extremes. And often, this is accompanied by fear, a primal shock to the system, and an immediate, instinctual reaction. The moment that interference enters, the very instant that pebble hits the water, movement begins. The system is no longer in its original state of rest. It has been set in motion, disturbed from its peace. This brings us to a moment of reflection, a chance to look at our own lives as a system. I invite you to ask yourself what creates that sense of tension in your system. What are the pebbles, the stones, the boulders that are being thrown into your calm waters? It can be a powerful exercise to simply list them, to name them, and see them for what they are: external influences. Because it's crucial to understand that this pressure we feel, this sense of being pushed and pulled, is not our natural state. It is introduced from the outside. The water itself doesn't want to be in turmoil, the turmoil is forced upon it. So I'll ask you to reflect on one more question. Where do you feel these effects? In what parts of your life, or even your body, do you feel that sudden urgency, that simmering fear, or that distinct emotional charge? Acknowledging this is the first step in understanding how deeply interference can distort our reality. So, we've seen how this external interference creates immediate movement, a departure from our natural state of rest. This leads us to a pivotal and perhaps surprising realization, which we're calling the first shift. It's the shift from seeing ourselves as damaged to understanding that we have simply been displaced. When that stone hits the water, the system experiences a loss of its original state. The stillness is gone, replaced by movement and vibration. But here is the core understanding that changes everything. This is displacement, not damage. The water itself has not been broken. Its fundamental nature has not been shattered. The molecules have simply been moved, pushed aside, and forced into a new configuration by an external force. The water is still water. It has only been shifted from its place of rest. This is a profound reframe, a new story to tell ourselves about our own experiences. Think about the moments of impact in your life, the events that set your world into motion. The story we often tell is one of being broken. That event broke me. I've been broken ever since. But what if that story isn't true? What if you were never broken at all? You were simply moved. You were pushed off your center, shifted from your state of equilibrium. A ship caught in a storm is tossed by the waves, thrown far off its intended course. It is displaced, but as long as the hull is intact, the ship itself is not broken. It can reorient, find its bearings, and chart a new course. This brings us to a core realization, a personal truth to uncover. I want to invite you to complete a sentence, just for yourself. The sentence is, I was never broken. I was. Take a moment to fill in that blank. I was moved. I was shifted. I was redirected. I was displaced. Whatever word resonates with you, let it sink in. This isn't just about changing a word, it's about changing the entire narrative of your life, from a story of damage and repair to a story of movement and rediscovery. We have traveled on a journey together, from understanding how external interference creates a stir in our systems to reframing our entire story from one of being broken to one of being merely displaced. Now, we arrive at our conclusion, the powerful act of reclaiming your personal blueprint, and it all begins with embracing a core truth. Your original state, your factory setting, is one of wholeness. Just like that body of water's natural tendency is to return to stillness, your own system's blueprint is one of completeness and peace. The turmoil you feel is an unnatural, temporary state imposed from the outside. Your essence was never fractured. So, what is the path forward from here? How do we begin the journey back to our center? The way forward involves two fundamental practices. First, we must get better at recognizing interference when it happens. By seeing it for what it is, an external force that is not part of our true nature, we can begin to detach from its impact. Second, we must actively remember our true identity. The outline calls this a spherical identity, which is a beautiful metaphor for wholeness, completeness, with no broken edges or missing pieces. Remembering this wholeness is like a compass guiding you back home. And this is where true empowerment lies. It's the deep, unshakable understanding that you are not, and never were, broken. You are merely displaced. You are not a shattered vessel that needs to be painstakingly glued back together. You are a whole and complete being who was simply moved by the currents of life. And just as water will always find its level, and a compass will always point north, you have the innate ability to find your way back to your center, to reclaim your blueprint and live from that place of inherent wholeness. This is the work. This is the beginning of returning to your inner G, returning to your original signal, returning to the part of you that existed before the deeming ever occurred. And if you are ready to go deeper into this process, the full system behind this work, including the deeming, zero energy, identity reconstruction, emotional DNA recoding, and inner G calibration, is laid out inside the Human Blueprint Workbook, available now on Amazon. This is not just a book. It is a full training manual, a journal, and a structured pathway designed to guide you through the exact process of uncovering and reconstructing your identity from the inside out. And if you want to understand the larger system, the structures that reinforce identity loops, repetition, and perception itself, the Archonic Systems Exposed Manual is also available as a downloadable PDF. That work breaks down the mechanics of how identity, time, and external frameworks lock perception into patterns, and how recognition alone begins to dissolve those systems. All of the information, links, and access points will be in the description box below. This is your next step. Not to become something new, but to see clearly what has been shaping you all along. And from that place, everything begins to change. And we say thank you on behalf of C.E.M, your Minister of Metaphysics, creator and architect of the human blueprint, and founder of the School of Magic and Metaphysics. And this is where your return begins. Until next time, stay aligned.